Okay, great. We're almost at lunch, and I'm going to invite some co-presenters here. So Frank and Keith, if you want to join me up here. Yay. And we're going to do a little abbreviated version of the enterprise presentation. EON has, over its 25-year history, worked many years in enterprise training. And we're going to talk a little bit about that because we think with a new development with AI and prompt, etc., you'll be able to apply this in enterprise on a much broader scale than before. So with me here, let me introduce Keith Waltzinger. He's a 777 pilot from American Airlines, and he's going to talk about aerospace. He's got a wealth of experience there. I have Frank Bottorff, First Director of Business Development for the Eastern United States with EON Reality. And then we have Rick Ferree, he's Director of Business Development for West Coast, South and Latin America. And once we get going here, we have 6 areas that we have selected specifically to focus on enterprise. And I think even if you're an education user, we know how important the outreach to enterprise is for you, so we think this should be interesting. So we're going to talk about manufacturing as one area, energy, aerospace, healthcare, tourism, hospitality, and security defense. And this is a little slide that was provided by one of our power users, and they've been a customer since the early 2000s, believe it or not. It's a large compressor manufacturer called Atlas Copco. And they did this study when they looked at, one was a virtual trainer, and when they used the virtual reality versus classical training, they could see cost savings of over 60% and speed up the training 3 times faster. You can put through a lot more people with a simulator versus maybe 1 or 2 of the actual compressors. And then they looked at AR, basically bringing augmented reality to the field, to service technicians, and cost savings over 92%. And this is their numbers, not ours. And you might say, that sounds crazy, how can it be so much? Well, if you can move all the AR to the field, you don't need training centers or equipment or anything. So it's huge cost savings. And also a speed up in terms of time. These are some of the customers that we have worked with over the years. And with that, I'm going to give the word to Frank a little bit to talk about manufacturing.
Hello, everyone. I think I'll just stay right here and yeah. So one of the things I wanted to point out right away is I don't speak your language. I speak Southern, so I don't speak like y'all do out here. But happy to give you kind of a quick overview of some of the specific, when we think of this technology, I know John and Rena did a great job of giving you some practical applications, and I think trying to get this further out into the real world is what we're going to talk about right now. So as far as some of the, manufacturing covers a lot of different industries. So this could be in automotive, textile, consumer goods, construction, food and beverage, as you can see here, pharmaceutical and electronics. Now we're going to break out aerospace separately, so we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. So what are some of the applications within these industries that could utilize this technology? And when you think about this type of technology, assembly and maintenance or maintenance repair operations, those are kind of all mixed together there. Being able to show how certain, especially if there's a conveyor belt system or something like that, the assembly line process. Safety training, we talked about, Dan earlier talked about the PPEs and identifying the appropriate protection equipment to go out onto the manufacturing floor. Operator training, a lot of these are very sophisticated pieces of equipment. You need to be able to make sure you're training the employees appropriately. As far as remote collaboration, that's another one where, as a matter of fact, I've got a specific customer that had utilized this. They had about 180 plants around the world, especially in the COVID world, trying to, and their equipment was manufactured in Germany. Well, they couldn't fly people out immediately. It would take 2 weeks of quarantine just to get them into the country. So being able to remotely have some assistance in trying to troubleshoot, that was a huge benefit for them. And of course, now they're rolling that out further in their day-to-day operations, even after the lockdowns of COVID. And as far as the, I wanted to show one example, forklift. I thought that was a interesting one, that every manufacturing scenario has typically forklifts moving things around. Yeah, it says.
The control center is the main operation handle for the forklift. Make sure to be standing on the dead man's. The operation of the forklift will stop if you come up. The forks are intended to pick up pallets. The control switch will raise you to the proper height for getting merchandise that is high. The pallet grabber will secure the pallets. Use the release pedal to release the pallet when it's safely in its new location.
Okay, we are running a little short on time, so we'll continue here. Thank you, Frank. Let's see if I can move that forward. Escape? Okay, thank you.
Rick?
Let me do that. I got it. Okay, I just need you to approach. So since we're running a little bit short, well, we're going to cover this fairly quickly, as I said, and then if there's interest, we'll make all these presentations available, so you can watch all the videos, etc. Energy is an area that I've spent a lot of time in. I actually worked in the North Sea early in my career, with a lot of offshore energy production, oil and gas in that case, which is one area. Chemicals, renewable energy, nuclear power, energy storage, just to mention a few. In terms of applications, safety is often first and foremost when you talk to this industry. But they're also similar to manufacturing: operator training, maintenance, repair, remote collaboration, hazard identification, etc. And I'm going to show one example here, which is a wind turbine.
Wind turbine manufacturer. The turbine is designed to generate electricity from the wind and is used in both onshore and offshore wind farms. The turbine has a rated capacity of up to 5.x MW and can generate up to 15,000 MWh of electricity per year. The turbine is equipped with a direct drive system.
Okay. We'll move on here to aerospace, and I'll give the word to Keith.
Hey everybody, Captain Keith Walsinger, very happy to be with you today. We're going to show a video that we created just about 10 days ago and describe how EON can integrate with aviation training. Real quick, since we're talking about education, how many here have ever traveled on an airplane? Can you raise your hand? Okay. How many here are licensed pilots? Okay, so a few less. How many have ever thought, or dare we say, dreamed of learning to fly? A lot. Okay, so here we are. Here's a Boeing 777, and when you go through airline training, it takes a long time. It's very intensive, and in the old days, it was a lot of manuals stacked like this that we had to learn. Today, we have an iPad with all the training materials on it. And as you're going to see here, this is going to be the next step in how we're going to start training. So let's run this. This was on an actual departure that we did. And we've used the EON Show and Tell to label some of the items that we find in the 777 cockpit.
You might recognize the guy on the left.
You might recognize the guy on the left. Maybe we can advance a little bit. Oh, we can bring up the portals of information. We can talk about system and then bring up the information, bring up PDFs. I think somewhere on here we have a Boeing checklist on how to do a procedure on the aircraft. So we go through anything you need. The flight management system, we have a little short lesson evaluation on how to start the airplane. That's the first thing, right? How to get the thing started. And then you can evaluate so that a student would be able to identify the switches that are necessary to get the airplane started, and then they can go through and have an exam where you have to identify the correct switch and in the correct order to get the airplane started. We can fast forward about halfway through. Okay, so here we're identifying parts of the aircraft to get the engine started, we have a fuel control switch. It has two positions, cut off and run. Obviously, we're going to start the engine, we're going to put it to the run position. There's an automatic engine starting system, so you turn the switches to the correct position. The computerized engine starting system starts up the engines automatically, and if there's a fault, it automatically shuts the engines down. And these are some of the faults that will occur that would cause the engine to self-shut down. And get to the end, maybe real quick. So here's the assessment. There's some more labeling, and okay, this is my favorite. So we did this with a 360 degree camera. So we place it on the pedestal and get a very good look at the displays, and then you can overlay, using AI, the detailed information about each switch, what it does, and how you use it. So, as we say in a nutshell, that's a little quick take a look at the cockpit of the Boeing 777. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Keith. Really appreciate it. Now we're going to go to Rick, who's going to talk about healthcare and highlight one of the local partners here a little bit.
Absolutely. So first, starting out, looking at some of the areas of healthcare that we've worked in, medical and nursing schools. We've worked in hospitals, we've worked with pharmaceuticals, medical device companies, health insurance. Next one. I'm going to walk through just 3 examples, and then I'm going to let one of our partners, Children's Hospital of Orange County, talk about their journey with EON briefly. So John showed some of this, bringing in different models of the human body, being able to blow them up, take them apart, having an AI walk you through the significance of different diseases. One of our partners, Focus Medica, actually has 415 ready-to-go models and lessons that they leverage our marketplace to roll out to our different partners. With medical devices, you can use a digital twin to bring in a model and upload that. Let's say you're Canon Medical and you have a new MRI device. You can, before you even manufacture that device, you can bring in that model and start to train your workers on it. In an AR example, you can overlay, as we've seen on many examples that Frank showed, digital context giving real-time direction for maintenance workers in a remote setting or just physically in front of the machine. And one of our new partners in Costa Rica, the largest private hospital group, this is one of their key components that they want to leverage our technology for. And then lastly, patient education. So we'll show the video from Chalk. It basically talks about their journey with EON, what they did before EON, how they leveraged EON, and then talks about the results that they saw.
And to really allow them to feel a sense of control and autonomy when coming for their MRI appointment.
Hi everybody, I'm Dr. Morty. I am the Chief of Cardiology at Children's Hospital of Orange County.
I'm Ramin. I'm one of the 3rd-year pediatric residents at CHOP.
We wanted to talk about the process of creating our 3D part modules that we use for patient education. We started off in our clinic, and sometimes what we use for parents is a drawing that explains what the normal heart looks like, and then we make changes in order to describe to our patients and our families the congenital heart problem that they're dealing with. About 1.5 years ago, we were able to, with EON Reality, and they gave us a presentation on the ability to make the BB learning modules for our patients and for students. And so we decided to work with them, and that's where Ramin came in, and we worked with the team to create these learning modules. The end result was amazing, and Ramin, you've been using it for parents already, and how's that been going?
Yeah, it's been great. They've been responding really well to these modules. I've actually been taking pre and post surveys after using the modules with the parents, and most of them actually prefer it to the traditional style of teaching, the paper presentations and just on drawing out the heart and explaining the lesion. So it's overall really has good response from the parents.
We're designing a suite of.
So that's just one module that they created of many in one use case, but they can share with you many more. They were supposed to be here today, but we'll share their results with you in the presentation.
Thank you, Rick. Speeding up here so we catch up a little bit. We have some presenters that have a hard stop, I know, so I'm almost done. But I'm just going to touch on tourism, hospitality. As you've probably seen, when you can annotate the real world, this has tremendous applications in that industry. Whether it's hotels, resorts, airlines, travel agencies, attractions. And you can imagine, you know, interactive city tours, virtual museum tours, or artifact tours, etc., even in sports, etc. And then finally, in security and defense, we're currently working on a request around the Olympics that's coming up in France. That's geared towards the general public to recognize threats, for instance, but there are other areas like emergency response, cybersecurity, and of course, number of applications in this area. So this was a little bit more compressed, but I think we'll stop there just to give you a flavor of what's coming with Enterprise. And I think with this, we're going to have lunch, correct, Britta? No? Who's coming up?
We have LACC.
We have LACC, sorry. So LACC will invite you up and reshuffle the tables here a little bit. So thank you.